Well, good evening, folks. I'm not entirely sure whether that intro played out properly. I was getting all sorts of weird stuttering, so if there are issues with the video or the audio today, let me know and I shall poke stuff and see what happens. But hello there to, blimey, lots of people in chat already. Majenko, Chloe, Remdog, Swarm, Cobb, Jeepin. Hello everybody, hope you're all well. We are back today to the LA50, and when we looked at it last week, we sort of got it. Oh, there was stutter, was there? That's annoying. It was as I was scrolling the chat here in OBS, and the previous stutter was when I realised my earbud wasn't connected and reconnected it. Yes, thank you, Cobb. So, last week we had a quick go at getting the LA50 up and running and found that the obstruction in the paper path was the paper out switch. So we poked that a bit and stuck some oil on the pivot point that was stiffer than the metal itself, and that allowed it to move freely out of the way of the paper. Token Scandy pointed out that it looked like it wasn't actually now detecting anything because it wasn't sticking out far enough to notice whether the paper was there or not, so we'll investigate that. But more importantly, when we turned it on, we got this strange behaviour. If we hold down line feed and form feed to put it in, let me put it on the right camera. Line feed and form feed puts it into a carriage test mode, which is supposed to move the carriage from, you can't see it where it is, from just across the platen. And what it does instead is this. So it's not moving, but it's having a lot of fun not doing it. So I had a look, and one moment while I look for the relevant window. Preview, there we go. Had a look through the technical reference manual again. And there is a set of user operator tests. Here we go. Carriage motion self-test, page 3.3. Of course, it doesn't have useful page numbers. There we go. 3.3. Print self-test carriage motion, which is what we've just done, and it doesn't tell you what to do if it doesn't work. So operator troubleshooting does not start when power is turned on. Well, that's not the issue. No printout. Fault light is on. Well, we're not getting that far anyway, but that's out of paper, which is what I was seeing when I first tried it out. So obviously that was the paper out sensor being a problem. Carriage moves, but no printout's not doing that. Paper jams, pin feed paper jams. Access cover open, it's not that one. You have to scroll all the way down here, so past the theory section. Section 5, in between the theory and the disassembly section are the actual troubleshooting tables for your field service engineer. Carriage does not move. Well, it does move because if you put it over this side, it will home it, so that's fine. Printer does not start. When power is applied, carriage moves short distance to right and stops. It's not doing that. In carriage motion self-test, carriage moves to home position and stops, which is what we're seeing. You can put it here, it'll move over there, and then it'll... I'm sorry folks, that's the house phone, and it is an hour earlier than it usually would be, so I had better go and answer that and find out what's wrong. I'll be back in a moment. Sorry about that, folks. It was my mother ringing about plans for the weekend. Because obviously it's Father's Day on Sunday, and there's a cluster of family birthdays in the following week or so.
Swarm of Dead Insects has gifted a sub to Jeepin 247.
Oh, thank you very much for the gifted sub there, Swarm. Most appreciated. So yeah, just what we were planning to do over the weekend, and for some reason it's been left to the last minute to coordinate anything. And yeah, Mum left with I'll let you get back to your streaming. It's like, well, thanks for that. Going to run at 8 o'clock. Anyway, right. So where were we? We were looking at this. Carriage motion self-test. Carriage moves to home position, which it does and then stops. Defective right carriage stop switch is the suggested cause of such a problem, and we had to move the right carriage stop switch. Let's turn that off. Which is down here somewhere. There it is. We had to remove that to get the covers off last time. So we'll have a look and see if... that out of the way. Take the covers off. We'll see if we can test that switch out with the old meter and see if it's behaving itself. And I think we shall take it from there. Let me just catch up on chat while I was away. The beats are back. They are indeed. I see. Some of us would rather put the needle on the record when the drum beat goes like this, but yeah, right. Well, that's not ideal, Chloe. Having a car and then walking 6 miles to pick it up seems less than ideal. But anyway, we are going to get on with this, and I'm going to take a sip of coffee. And we shall see where we go from there. So, fancy DEC branded paper out the back. Those front screws should still be loose because I couldn't work out how to get them in there last week. And we want the long handled screwdrivers again, don't we? So this one should do the trick. And this is where things get a bit awkward on the old fingers. That comes up like that, and then there's a connector deep in there that needs to come out, like so. And the ground lug there. And then this switch is the one that we have to remove from its mount and throw through the casework. So let's see how that works. So there we go, that's that one. Okay, and it connects directly into the wiring harness, which might make it easier to test that out in a second. But while we're in here, what did we need to look at? That is filthy. It is absolutely filthy in there. Which is not good. Hang on one second. Why did that chair not work? Unless it just objected to the word naked, which would seem remarkably prudish even by Twitch standards. But thank you for the 100 bits, Majenko, and thank you for the 100 bits, RHK. Most appreciated. I wonder if I can do anything to trigger the TTS. Yes, I can. If I go over to... It could be that something has gone horribly wrong with OBS because it's feeling a bit warm. I have a feeling it's probably the end credit screen. Because it's not visible. It's still being an absolute pain. I wonder if I can do anything about that. Turn that off, turn that on. No, still showing 25% CPU, which is a lot more than usual. Recent events, there we go. Let's try replaying a couple. Well, I mean, it's not, because I've got 3 tabs open. No, this is odd. I think it's either a Streamlabs or Twitch fault, because Streamlabs doesn't have those events in my history. It's got the gift sub from earlier, but neither of the cheers. Very strange. RHK, what I'm planning on doing with these printers after fixing this one in particular is going with the VT240 to print transcripts of System 1 nonsense as I type in the fourth and such like. The other ones, the Selectric is just going to go sit on display somewhere if I can find a sturdy enough stand for it. We'll talk about that later. The Quiet printer and the plotter I have no idea about yet. And no, Majenko, I'm not about to do a Beavis impression. No, that's we'll leave that to the professionals. But thank you for the 100 bits anyway. I forgot to throw away some of the dirty cotton swabs from last week. There. Anyway, back to this. What we're looking at. We want to... Well, we definitely want to clean that off at some point because that's looking nasty. And we'll check that does move freely across the entire extent. It does. Apart from a rough spot in the middle, but that shouldn't affect it over there. There's some corrosion on the bracket that holds the sensor switch, the the end stop. But that's not going to help. So let us grab some crop clips. There's one. There's another. I don't think I want to know what some of you are talking about in chat, do I? No. And we want a multimeter. There'll be a multimeter around here somewhere. There it is. finally we want to find a couple of little jumper wires. There we go. And that should let us make noise. That's horribly bent. I wonder why that is horribly bent. Should worry about it another time. And the thing we're paying attention to is this switch, which we want to find where the other end of it is. What colour are those? Sort of slate and grey or something. So I think that's these two pins here in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Well, that appears to be working fine. Maybe I just didn't have it plugged in properly, but the rest of the front panel was working, and if those pins are in the middle of the connector, it seems dramatically unlikely that that would be the fault. Let's see if I can get a better angle on that. See, there's the sort of lurking in a really accessible piece of the mechanism there, so that's fun. Oh, a new Sparks album. I should have to check that one out. While studiously ignoring the rest of whatever you're talking about there. Sorry. Oops, sorry, that was punching the mic, not the most intelligent idea in the world. So, let's have a look. That needs to go back in there. To go. Come on, where's that? Right, that's there, and then the ground lug needs to go back on the front here. Whoops. Well, thank you for the follow there, Electronics Repair Bench. Much appreciated. So with that all This is getting vaguely annoying now because we have changed absolutely nothing. But we'll try it anyway and see what's happened. If we can get that lid on straight. We have to get this on because there is actually a switch somewhere for the... Yeah, thank you, that was a screwdriver going on the floor. There's a micro switch to detect whether we've got that cover on or not. So... This is a very rough and ready design compared to the Star I'm used to. But anyway, let's see what happens if we apply some power as well. Where's the power cable gone? No. As soon as you lift that off, it stops what it's doing anyway. That's annoying. Hang on. I see Majenko is throwing a strop. Thank you for the 100 bits, Majenko. Thank you for the 100 bits, Swarm. I have no idea why those are not getting delivered to... Yeah, I mean, look, I'll show you what I've got on the Safari there. I mean, the gift sub and the followers show up, but the cheers are not. Whoops. I don't know what clicking that did. It might have attempted to replay something. Anyway, I'm afraid there is nothing I can do about that, folks. It is just one of those you couldn't see anyway. So there we go. That's what I'm seeing. So there's a follow, whoops, and there's a gift sub, but the last cheer was 3 days ago. So yeah, I'm afraid I've got no idea what's going on there. But yes, Majenko, you can throw as many strops as you want. I shall try and keep an eye out for things I need to respond to that the TTS isn't telling me about. But let's just check the down in front still works. Because God, go away, Twitch! What's this nonsense now? Thank you. Now I have a thing showing up. Yes, thank you, RHK. Yeah, I've no idea. I'm getting the notifications on my thing as well, so there. Anyway, what were we doing? We were looking for the whichever switch we need to press to defeat the lockout on this. Where's that going to be hiding? Must be around the back here somewhere. No, it can't be because it's... Thank you. Go away, Safari. Yeah. So that lives on there, and when you lift this bit off, it immediately shuts down. So there must be a switch on the front somewhere that it's using to detect that. And I can't see it. It's not that. Unless it's something ridiculous like a hall sensor on the front panel, but I don't see one. Jeep and I assure you we won't get anything done in 15 minutes, I'm sure. Yeah, let's have a look at the IPB, the Illustrated Parts Breakdown, which has better quality drawings than the manual, which is useful. So, printer. We are looking for pinch roller, no. Carriage frame, paper thickness lever, no. Platen and interlock switch. That looks like it's probably what we're looking for. But there are two different versions of this, depending on which model LA50 you've got, and we have the I don't know. The RC. The different models are just for different mains voltages as far as I can tell, but obviously there must be some other differences because they do stupid stuff like move the carriage. Here we go. RC. Front panel, carriage stop switch and access cover interlock assembly is part 8. Maybe it is on that board then. Front panel, key connector, ground plate, switch cover interlock, part 14. I think it might be Hall effect, you know. I can't deny we're getting our money's worth from that down in front edition, aren't we? I do apologise, folks. I'm not paying enough attention, obviously. There we go. So let's see. Yeah, there's the interlock switch. What could it be? It suggests that the way to defeat it is simply to put it on this way up though, and yeah. Its Hall effect, there's a magnet inside the top there. He says looking for a screw to attempt to attach to it. There were some screws here a moment ago. There we go. Yeah. So if we pop that on there. Get back in there, you little sod. I wonder if I might have bent a pin on that connector, but it looks okay. Anyway, that's now back there as it should be. We'll reattach the ground clip. And now we'll try it with the carriage extent switch here, dangling out, and see what happens. So, carriage scan self-test mode, power, So there should be a left extent switch here somewhere, but that's working, because if we do this, then turning it on, it finds that extent happily enough. So it's just moving it that way that it can't do. He says until it does it. Well, that wasn't good. There was a... So it can definitely move the carriage in both directions. It can definitely detect the left end stop. The right end stop looks like it's electrically okay, but we don't know whether it's detecting it or not. Let's feed it some paper and try the standard self-test and see what happens. Yeah, exactly. It's just being obstinate. That's the problem. Nothing worse than obstinate machinery. So I'm just looking through the manual for which of the buttons it is I'm supposed to press for the standard self-test. Is form feed. So paper first. Yeah, that paper's a mess, but it'll do as well. And we're going to deal with this without blocking your view. There we go. Oops. So we need that back on for it to work. And hold down form feed. Immediate flashing fault light. Okay, let's go back to the proper diagnostics table and see what we've got. No printout in self-test mode. Carriage moves and printhead sounds as if it's firing. No, that's not it. Printhead does not fire in printhead self-test mode. Carriage moves. Defective or disconnected printhead cable. Defective printhead. Defective PCB. Does that make sense? Right. Carriage moves, but doesn't print. Yeah, you might be right there, Vajenko. Let's bring that up quickly anyway. And we'll go through the list one by one. Printer does not start when power switch is set to 1, so that's not it. Carriage does not move, well it does, indicators are not off. Printer does not start, carriage does not move, indicators are on, well it does move. Fault indicator flashes when power is first turned on. It's not flashing, but it is steady. Printer does not start. Fault light is on. Pressing ready switch causes printer to print one line. Well, it brings it online, but we haven't sent it any data. Defective paper out switch. But what else do we have? When power is applied, carriage moves short distance to right and stops. No, because it goes back left again. In carriage motion self-test, carriage moves to home position and stops. That's still the closest we've got. Printhead does not fire in printer self-test mode. The flashing fault there could be paper out. let's have a quick look at the... I don't have the user's manual open, it's in Safari. 1 second. Let's see what this has to say about the indicators. Self-test, page 12. Cover must be on. Press, hold down form feed, release. You should get that. If printer does not pass self-test or fault light blinks, refer to troubleshooting. Right. Refer to troubleshooting section. Steady fault light is out of paper. Blinking fault light is electronic fault. Troubleshooting. Okay. I think what we want to do is get it to that. Yeah, get to the paper switch and give it a good old poke. See what happens. Electronics repair bench. Yes, if not free or not smooth, the circuit will detect high motor current and will shut down. It will, but it's moving it enough at startup. I don't know if we can. Let's be quiet, meter. If we look at the head there when it powers up normally, it's capable of moving. It's just when we put it into this self-test mode, that's supposed to be what it calls a carriage scan self-test, just to make sure it's moving. And it's not moving as much as it does during power-ups, so in fact it's not moving at all. So that, yeah, it could be. It could be that it doesn't pay attention to current limits or something when it's powering up. But we're still getting that paper out indication as well. So let's investigate the paper out switch, because we did move it last week to free it up because it was not moving, and it's possible that I knackered it in the process. So come on, that comes out. There we go. Actually, while we're at it, let's have a quick look in there and just make absolutely certain I haven't done something stupid like bend a pin on the connector to the front panel. So, some light. Where am I looking? No, that looks not knackered. Might be an encoder disc. Yes, it could be. I'm not entirely certain what it uses for feedback on that. I would expect to see a... What I'm used to on these is a plastic strip with fine print on it that it uses for positioning. But as far as I can tell from the manual, this just has a DC motor, and it just sort of runs it until it hits the limit switch over here, and ready reckons as to where it is, which is very strange. G-pin, no, you haven't missed anything. Remdog, it's a 9-pin dot matrix. The mechanism is a CITO mechanism, which was also used in the Apple Image Writer and Image Writer 2, with different protocols on it. So this one speaks. It's a serial printer, and this one speaks DEC terminal control sequences, including Sixel, which is why I want to get it running, because it'll work nicely with the. Excuse me. Work nicely with the VT240 and the Rainbow that it was originally used with. So yeah, let's get to that paper out switch, which I think is probably our lead suspect at the moment, because that's the only thing we've actually dicked with since I got it. And we shall where did the screwdriver go? Down there, didn't it? Let's see if I can work out whether it's actually. No, I think that was probably not detecting any paper, which wouldn't help. Oops. See, where was that? There. Yeah. So what we did last week was oil that pivot point down there because it was completely seized. In the process of discovering that it was completely seized, I might have bent this slightly, which won't help because that needs to stick out into the paper path. So let's do that. And then I'll see if I can work out where that's supposed to sit. There we go, that's a bit further out into the paper path than it was earlier. That might help. Yeah, okay, now I can see that the bar that moves into the path of the opto sensor on that is actually now moving when I put paper down in the path. So it does say to Loctite those screws, but let's get it working first and then we'll worry about that later, especially because I don't have any Loctite on them. I once managed to mortally offend a friend with that joke, Jeepin. She didn't speak to me for several days afterwards. Apparently it was a sensitive subject, but there we go. Right. Front panel reconnected, ground lug. Let's see what we get. Who can spot what I forgot? Well, that's still doing that, but we can try and feed some paper into it now. No, still fault. Okay. Coffee is what we need. And then I guess we're taking the bottom off to have a look at the PCB. Just having a glance at chat there. Scratch my watch on the camera lens. I mean, it can't have been on an important camera lens. It might have been on this one. And it's only a cheaper Logitech thing. Sorry, I just wanted to send from Machenko there about his deck dock project. Now complete. Well, let's have a quick look. See if there's anything in there that I didn't already have. No, same documents I've already got, unfortunately. Okay. So we want to go back to the technical guide, removal and replacement procedures, and we need to find PCB assembly. There we go. Remove paper and access covers, set printer on its back, remove the 4 screws from the bottom cover. Oh, okay. That should be fairly straightforward. does it like to jam on over in that corner? Ah. There we go. And apparently we just pop these 4 screws out and there is the guts of the thing. How are you supposed to get this off? Um, 6, 7. Magnet or suction, but neither of which I have to hand immediately, unfortunately. There we go. Fingernail in the arrow will do. Oh, there's a blob of something. This sounds like it's going to get unpleasant at the next step. Remove the fuse replacement. Printhead. Remove the 4 screws from the PCB. Disconnect the 8 connectors and the ground wire. Remove the PCB. Okay. 4 screws. One. 2. Am I blind? Where is... Those 2 aren't screws, they're nuts for the serial connector. Oh. Is it these 4 in the corners? That would make more sense. I may have just unscrewed a heatsink or something. They're actually thumb screws, but they're in a bit tight to disconnect the 8 connectors and the grounding wire. So, how are you supposed to they're all at the front, I think, but you can't get. Oh, this is a rum do. Are you supposed to do this from inside? In which case, why wouldn't it instruct you to do that before you take the bottom cover off and remove the thumb screws? Just having a quick glance through the chat there. That's the front panel connector, at least we can get that out. There's one in that corner. That's for the paper. I think that's the paper out switch on the left carriage stop, actually. That one. Where else have we got? Nah, I'm not happy with this because I'll never be able to get those back in again afterwards. But you can't get to them from this side either. This is absolutely ridiculous. How on earth did they expect you to follow these instructions? We've so far got 2 of the 8 connectors free, and I can't reach the next. Well, there's one there, but I don't fancy my chance of getting it back in afterwards. There's one back here. This is sheer lunacy. Well, we could try the ground wire. Do I have something to take that off with? Go. Yeah, the reassembly is what I'm not looking forward to at all here. This is... Aha. Okay. Swarm, you might have had a very good point there. Thank you. I thought for some reason that was going to be the slackest of the lot, but right, now we can remove mains connector, whatever on earth that one is. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There must be 2 more lurking in here somewhere. Three more. Oh God! Right. I can see one there. Ooh, I don't like the noise that made. There we go. So what do we have here? We have a lot of electrolytic capacitors. I'm going to choose to ignore those for the time being. Those are probably yeah, those are going to be the drivers for the printhead, aren't they? Because there are 9 of them. Oh. Where's that? There. Sorry, just getting my bearings on the... I don't like the look of whatever the hell that is. Sorry. The lack of autofocus in webcam mode on this thing is annoying. Now, unfortunately, we don't actually have schematics for this thing. We have a technical reference manual, but we don't have the full schematics set. So let's see if we can work out what on earth that is and what it might be doing. I think that thing next to it is actually a turd of some description. I thought it was a baked wire, but okay, and there's some more on the other side of the board as well. So yeah, this is so yeah, let's have a think. We have a pot of alcohol. Finish my coffee while I sulk for a minute. Um, I noticed the board is actually labelled LA50, so it's not the mechanism is CITO, but the control board, it says TEC, not DEC. A bit of fluff on a chip over there, probably nothing to worry about. Fuses look fine. I'm not seeing any obvious sign of exploded capacitors or anything, at least. So it's probably just either got wet or got infested by rodents when it was sitting in my colleague's attic. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I shall, as chat suggests, give it a quick squirt with the old vinegar first. Just in case that is some alkalite or other, and then we can wipe it down with the alcohol. What do I want to do first? Just get rid of that suspicious looking turd. I need a what's it called? There we go. Right. Let's Sorry folks, I realise I am leaning over the camera there. I'm looking for the makeup remover pads I use for this sort of thing. I shall have a look in a second, Majenko. And Cobb, you raise a fair point. I just don't happen to have the one I would usually use is gunked up with flux at the moment, so I need to buy some spares. Okay, that's filthy. That's really... Christ. This might need to get a somewhat more thorough cleaning. But that chip was a... Oh, it's an LS257. That's fine. Can replace that one, no trouble. Let's look for signs of damage around there. LS257 is probably just reading the dip switches. Yeah, there are two of them, one for each bank of dip switches, I suspect. So it's unlikely to be the cause of our fault. In the other corner, like the other patch of grot, HD7406 and TA75339. Is 75 just the upspec 74? I can't remember. But let's get on with some alcohol. .257 quad 2 input mux. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, okay, that still works, doesn't it? Because if there are two of them, then you've got a quad 8 input mux. No, sorry, you've got an octal 2 input mux. Two 8 position dip switches. So yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't know what. I don't think that would be causing the issue we were seeing though, so... Because that's just configuration related. Yeah, I mean, you'd have thought, wouldn't you, Majenko? Just an octal buffer of some description. But anyway, if they wanted to do it with a pair of muxes, then more power to their railbug. But so let's have a look for any signs of actual damage to the thing. What's the 75339? Is that just a 74339 with... Oh no, it's a 339 quad comparator. Okay. just catching up on chat there. Figure 2 for PDF page 36, the TAC ref. Oh, okay. 36, Control G. No. Go to page, there we go. So for those playing along at home, there's 2. IO read buffer brackets 2. So yeah, chip select C4 and then AO to switch between the high and the low dip switch. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, GPIN. The majority of them are for baud rate framing, and then there's national character set selection. So this is probably set that the ones, there are 2 switches that are default here. It'll be set for British, so it'll have a pound sterling sign where the hash mark should be, and then various other bits and pieces, none of which should affect powering up at least. God, come on, brain. What are we going to do now? Let's get back in there with. Ooh. Scrubbing brush. Forgot I had these on the table. So. Well, that's not going to work. That, however, is going to work. Okay. And there's still some crud over this side, so let's deal with that as well. There was something stuck to this resistor network, but I think it was just fluff of some description. It didn't look like corrosion or anything of the sort. And then this section is where there was a little bit of mass earlier. So we'll do that. That'll clear it all up a bit, and then we can inspect the PCB artwork, see if there's any obvious damage there. Okay. It just says Fujiken DC-DC converter on it. Looks like it's generating plus 12 minus 12. Don't know whether it's taking one in and generating the other or what. Can look it up later. We'll just take a look at the back. There are two there and there, and I think they're just mouse turds. Yeah, I thought they might be rework at first, but they're not. So. That was my fault, using the wrong... using the wrong tool for the job. And now we've got cotton wool stuck to it everywhere. Excellent. Okay, so there's no obvious damage to the bottom of the board where that was, so I don't think it was corrosive mouse poop. Top side again looks... yeah. Sorry, shaky cam again. That pin there is not happy, obviously, and that's the power pin to one of the muxes. Other one in the back there looks okay. So I reckon that chip needs to come out. And we can inspect the track work underneath it then. What do you say, folks? Do we fire up the Moo machine now? It is 7:30. I'm probably going to run another half hour or so. Yeah, so yeah, as Phil says, it's just a 257, and replace that one easily enough. So do we just yoink that out now and hope for the best, or I can't imagine that just cleaning the turd off the board has been enough to revive it. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Okay, Moo machine it is. I shall be back in a second while I set that up. No, that can stay there. We weren't supposed to be turned on. Naughty. Where are the rest of those? So we are... Oops. Waiting for that to come up to temp. Food and drink sound good, Cobb. I'm vaguely suspicious about this. Where are we going? Over here. Empty spot there, but it doesn't look like there was ever a chip in there, and it would be a remarkably unfortunate amount of corrosion to have popped an entire chip off the board. I might as well wait for this ad break to finish before I start mooing away. With apologies to people who are not fans of the moo machine, but it is going to be hopefully a fairly quick one. Yeah, it's not the fastest in the world. But anyway, we're there now, so ad break ending in 5 seconds. Here we want, isn't it? Come on. If I fitted the wrong size nozzle, I should be most upset. I am just going to wash my hands for a second, folks, because I keep scratching my nose. That's going to end badly. That was not good. Right, and we forgot the first step of desoldering ancient crud like this is to put fresh crud on top of it. So, sorry, I just want to make room on the table here. This is not the corner of the table I usually do soldering on. So, where are we at? One there. Okie doke. Oh, I've got the conical on it, haven't I? Never mind. I had, as you can obviously tell, not foreseen the need to do any soldering on this stream, so things like sitting under the light and such like didn't have a chance to plan ahead. Never mind. Good evening, Matt. Good to see you. Sorry I didn't acknowledge your... well, unless it's the first thing you've said, in which case I haven't noticed you. Pot of tea sounds good. And who else have I not said good evening to? I've probably said not said good evening to loads of people like Dopaz and Phil and hope everybody is doing well, or at least somewhat less miffed than I am. And was that Carrot House I saw earlier? It was indeed a Carrot House. Hello, how are you doing? I guess this is just killing time while I wait for the moon machine to get back up to temperature. I'm running... I'm not entirely sure what's using all the sockets behind the desk, behind the table at the moment, but I had to disconnect it to plug the soldering iron in, which is intelligent. Working on the house, I know the feeling. I still have some plasterboard panels to put back in or reinstate in the study, which is a job for next week, I think. Exciting. Right. Come on, where are you? realise you can't see what I'm doing there, folks, but let me see if I can. That might help. At least this is a fairly reasonable PCB, unlike the monstrosity we were dealing with in the 240. Come on. Okay, that was not a good noise. Haven't quite got all the solder out there. Annoying. Exactly, it doesn't turn to goo when I heat it, which is always an advantage. And RHK, I would love to be able to fast forward this, I truly would. Let's see. Over a bit more. Sorry, just going to look for my chip puller, which is around here somewhere. No, it's not a chip puller. that's still well and truly soldered into it. Thank you for the 100 bits, RHK. Sorry the TTS still isn't working. Don't know why that is. But yes, more space would be an advantage. We shall see. I wonder if that'll. No, it's still well and truly soldered in, unfortunately. What time is it? It's 10 to 8. I think I might call this for now anyway. Yeah, I think we've reached the point of the evening where I have run out of puff. I shall buy a replacement chip and then work on getting that one out. I think I'll just hit it with some hot air from the other side. I've just run out of sockets on the table is the problem. So I'll work on that. Majenko, are you going to be carrying on with Deponia this evening? Chip quick might be an idea. Well, how much notice do you need to fire that up? How much waffle do I need to do, Majenko? I'm just debating whether to have another pass at this or whether to give up. I'm tempted to give up. I'm just not feeling up to the effort required to get that solder off the other side. For reference, where are we? Yeah, there's still a couple of holes clear, but also this needs a thorough cleaning. I neglected to clean the vacuum chamber after last time I used it. Yes, exactly, Majenko. Give up, or at least try again when you're feeling a bit more with it. It's been a warm day. Yes, Matt. This weekend's plans. I'm not available tomorrow, but Majenko is. So Shelby is taking the weekend off. So Majenko will be streaming tomorrow evening. I should be back on Sunday evening. I won't jump straight into this because I don't have the spare chip on hand. I can tell you that I don't have any LS series chips on hand. I've got HC, which would probably do, but I don't know whether I've got HC257. It is indeed Matt, but I'll be seeing my parents at lunchtime on Sunday, so that's fine. And then in the evening, I should be back Sunday evening with. I have the Quiet printer and the Quiet Writer printer and the plotter, instrumentation plotter. Still in the pile of stuff that I picked up for Shelby, which we saw last week. So on Sunday I'll be taking the lid off one of the other of those and seeing what we can do with that. Indeed so, Matt. So you'll probably be busy, but you can always catch the VOD if it sounds interesting. Otherwise I'll let you know how it went on IRC. But yeah, Sunday we'll take a look at the other printer and the plotter, see what we can do. The Quiet printer might be a bit of a loss because I have very little documentation for it at all. Sorry, just change cameras. So hardly any documentation for the Quiet printer at all. The plotter I have no documentation for. I found one news article in Dutch, I think, about it. Well, probably Afrikaans actually, because it was from South Africa. So we'll have some fun. We'll see if we can figure out what the plotter is supposed to do, what it is doing, so on. But yeah, that's the plan there. Join me Sunday on that. Tuesday next week we'll be back to the RC2014 and probably building the Wi-Fi module for that. we'll build the module up, and then we'll look at the default firmware, which lets you telnet into the RC2014. But what I'd rather do is find a firmware that lets you dial out, so one of these serial Wi-Fi modem type things, to connect out to a BBS from the RC2014. So that's what we'll look at on Tuesday, 9:30 as usual, BST. We'll see how we get on with that. And then next week we'll be back to System 1, I think, next Friday. So that's the coming week here on my nonsense streams. So look forward to seeing some of you, or all of you, or however many of you would like to turn up to one of those future streams. So in the meantime, thank you all very much for joining me. I shall run the outro and we shall raid Majenko. So sorry we didn't get any further progress on this nonsense. It's annoying, but there we go. These things happen. So again, thank you all for joining me, and I shall catch you. Why did the intro just run when I wasn't paying attention to it? I shall catch you next time. Night all.